The Living Your Best Life Experiment, Week 25, My Interpretation of Stop Doing That Shit by Gary John Bishop. Chapter 1, Here's the Rub. So this book starts out as a continuation from the first book of Unfuck Yourself, Get Out of Your Head and Into Your Life. And I think I mentioned that before, that there is a free reading of it from the author on YouTube that you can check out if you want to check out that book first. So this book kind of just jumps right into it and kind of gives you a brief, this is what this book is and how it was intended to be used. He basically says, go through it at a slower pace and actually take in what you're reading. Then it jumps into self-talk is the locker room of your life, and how everything in our life revolves around what happens in our minds. And most of the time, our dreams and aspirations usually end there. And that by putting a stop to our dreams before we even let them out of our head or out of the planning stages or dream stage, we really limit our lives and how far we can go in them, how much we enjoy them, and all that stuff. And it just says that this isn't something that's new. Like, philosophers have been mulling over this for years, and usually the stuff that sticks out in your head, in your mind, when you are self-talking to yourself is the stuff that will self-sabotage yourself. Usually those are the voices that are louder than the ones who aspire to do something that will make them happy, that'll make them content, whatever it is. And it really looks at background BS that needs to be uncovered and found. And there's a little blurb in there about how a lot of things focus on being positive all the time and having a positive outlook, but if we don't actually deal with the self-sabotaging and the negative aspect also, that it'll still, and no matter how positive we act or try to think, or the things that we do, the behaviors that we change, if we don't look at the negative underlying issues and figure out where they're rooted, then you can never truly move past those negative thoughts and ideas. So it talks about actually figuring out what they are and working on them. It says changing your behavior without changing the cause is cheating yourself. If you're basically conning yourself into believing that everything is fine, but you still have these nagging issues that will subconsciously still be pulling you back down to that place of negativity. And that goes right into how you can only be one thing at a time. In every given moment, you can only be one feeling. You can be negative, you can be positive, but you can't be both at the same time. In that single moment, you can't be both negative and positive. You can't be indifferent or sad at the same time. And it talks about how you are the only person who could really help you and solve your issues. Then it talks about making sense of yourself and how in day-to-day life, most people are on autopilot and they never truly think about themselves or what they do in their day-to-day, or take the time to analyze it or interpret it. And most of what we do is just an automatic response to what we're given. And there's this little blurb that says real thinking is what can happen when your existing paradigms, all the stuff you know, gets challenged or interrupted. So actually having a conversation with yourself that makes you actually think and consider other possibilities is what I'm getting out of that. And it says it all starts by waking up, by understanding and acknowledging the things that we do on autopilot and start looking to do things with more intent and actually thinking about the things that we are doing and saying in our day-to-day lives. I think this one kind of relates to the whole living in the moment aspect of it, and how if we're not living in the moment and actually being present in our day-to-day, how we can end up missing a lot of opportunities or getting the perspective that things could be done differently, and actually being aware of what's going on around you is important. And then we look at how, at some moments you may come to like some, profound realization, and that you're going to have to take a leap of faith basically to progress your progression. And that's where he says, just dare yourself to jump. Just do it. And that's really how he intended this book, just to jump into it, get into it. But there's also a reminder there that if you need to pull back a little bit and take a breather, that's fine also. That you have the ability to jump fully into something, but if it gets too much and you do need a break, that you also have that ability. And it also talks about how this book, for some people, might be a very uncomfortable place for them to go, a negative place for them to go to deal with that underlying self-sabotage mentality, and how there's no unicorns or sympathy ears in this book. So I just had to add some in my little doodle. So now there are unicorns and sympathy. And then it just kind of gives a reassurance that if you do, go through the book and actually really do the thinking behind the intention of this book, that at the end of it you will have made some sort of progress. So basically it's saying, you just need to get in there and do this. And if you do, then you'll have a good outcome. So that was the end of chapter 1. I think the biggest thing between this author and the other author from the first book, Jen Sincero, who wrote You Are a Badass, is that this book is a lot more aggressive feeling and in your face than the other one. It's more of like a shock to your reality. So I guess we'll see how it goes. So until next time, I hope everybody has a good week. Bye.